Hello, good morning. Yeah, we're gonna start our reading series with A Giant for Start Readers, The Monster Under My Bed. And this one was written by Suzanne Gerber and illustrated by Stephanie Brett. There's the cover page. My mother used to read this book to me when I was a baby, like a very small child. And my mom is a teacher, and I'm gonna start a story series for you. See, inside page, The Monster Under My Bed. Very beautiful book. Yawn. Mommy says it's time for bed. Baby bear, say goodnight to Fluffy. And Fluffy's the cat there. Say goodnight to Duffy. Duffy is the little orange dog. Say goodnight to Daddy. That's Papa Bear. Say goodnight to Mommy. That's Mama Bear. It's time to turn out the light. It is dark in my room when Mommy turns out the light. Thump, thump, bump, bump. What is that? Thump, thump, bump, bump. What is that noise? The baby is afraid. The noise is under my bed. Baby's checking to see. You see two eyes there. Baby's checking to see what is it under his bed. Scratch, scratch, thump, bump. What is under my bed? Could it be a scary monster? Or a spooky ghost? Could it be a wicked witch? Or something scary is under my bed? Mommy, there's a monster under my bed. See, the monster is there. Right. And Mommy turns out the light. There's no monster. Thump, thump, bump, thump. There is a noise under my bed. Mommy, there's a monster on my bed. And Mommy turns on the light. Look, look, under my bed. There is a scary, hairy animal under my bed. There is a scary animal under my bed. Look, it's Fluffy. Fluffy the cat. Remember the cat? Say goodnight to Fluffy. Baby hugging up Fluffy. Mom turns off the light. Good night. And that's the first book, The Monster Under My Bed, which turned out just to be Fluffy the cat. Hope you like that one. Hope you enjoyed that one. That story, I used to fall asleep to that story all the time. And this one is a very similar story, but this one is a bit different. This one is Goodnight Opus by Berkeley Breath. And it starts. Which book, dear Opus, may I read you tonight? Asked Grandma with love at the start of the night. Why, my favorite, I said. The one with the rhymes. The same one you read to me 209 times. And just as with all proper grannies, she ordered me into my pink bunny jammies, that's pink pajamas. Then she sat and said, hush. Her voice filled the room. Good night, she read softly. Good night to the moon. And there's Grandma reading the book there. And good night to the lamp and the little toy boat. Good night to the mittens, all hanging and soaked. Good night to the floor. Good night to the walls. Good night to the rug, the door, and the walls and the halls. Good night, Tiny Mouse. Good night, Blue Moonshine. Good night, Grandma read 210th time. I can't really see how this happened next. After 210 times, I departed the text, and Grandma is falling asleep. Good night, I yelled, jumping good night far away. Good night to you all in the Milky Way. Sit back down, Grandma said. Get back in to bed. There's no one up there, and that's not what I read. When your sight surpasses what's plain in view, pull your head out of the clouds. Keep the ground to your shoes. Now let's finish the story with no Milky Way. It's improper that folks get so carried away. Grandma is upset that the baby is departing from the story that she's reading. But she read no further. She said no more. Yes, Grandma paused for a snore and a snore, a snooze and a snore. Now I take full blame for all that came next, for I continued the story, but departed the text. Grandma fell asleep again. Good night, I yelled down to the chap beneath my bed. Good night to you, big blue-footed biped. I'm so sorry, I've missed you each night, but tonight I was told to focus on Toes Taffy Blue. I've been here for years and not noticed you. Let's finish our story and get carried away. We'll wish them good night in that far Milky Way. My friend winked at me as his voice dropped to whispers. Let's go there ourselves. Wish it right to the kissers. A team is what we need. That's what I said. We signed up my pillow and gave the pillow a head. The pillow's head. So that's a team. But what of dear Grandma? There's no need to tell her. We hoisted and snuck her down the fruit cellar. She heard nothing there as she snored in slumber, comfy and snug under a ton of cucumber. See, they're sneaking Grandma down to the cellar there through the hallway. Our crew was complete. My Milky Way team. We boarded our Milky Way flying machine. Powered by dreams, with some blue-footed help, we launched from the roof and yelled out yelp. Good night to the city. Good night to all the people. Then we sideswept a kitty and shortened a steeple. So they jumped off the roof, similar to how Santa would fly off a sled in Christmas, basically. And we flew past a fairy in need of some sleep. She spent the whole night just collecting old teeth. They rose to a girdle and covered her feet. There was a heap upon heap, 2,000 feet deep. Good night, we yelled. Down she waved over us. She wished us to resell an old Elvis molar. And there's a tooth fairy. Yeah, tooth fairy. We jumped into check on the Washington scene where I talked with Abe Lincoln and told him our scheme. He said he himself had chased a few dreams, but now that he is marble, he wished for small things. And what I asked, would you most like to do? He responded, a swan dive. He said, we stripped and did too. So they jumped in the little pool beside of the monument for Abraham Lincoln. We flew past sailors of the Blue Mist Lagoon, where for 10,000 years they fished for the moon. We They've seen it up there and they've just want to cook it. They've dreamed that one day they might base it and cook it. Good night, I called down. We'd help, but we're late. We are off to the store. They yelled and bring some bait. Them to bring some bait. This is a poetry story. We flew through the clouds, and that's where we met all those wonderful folk aboard that big jet. We yelled them good night till our faces our faces turned purple, but theirs turned white like they swallowed. We haven't a clue as to what caused the scare. They slipped by quite nicely with inches to spare. Then we soared higher up till the whole sky was filled with lovable friends that the Milky Way spilled. They're all above us. 6 million others. No cow dads around, just milky cow mothers. Good night, I cried out. Good night, one and all. Then they served us ice cream for a Milky Way ball. It was time to go home, and they wept and said no. Then they kissed us goodnight, all 6 billion or so. So here is the freshest of up to now tips. If you're a dough cow smooch, avoid those cow lips. I found my way home and collapsed on the floor not long before Grandma showed up at the door. I told her all of what happened that night, that I stepped out for once and followed my sight. And for that, sometimes it's good that we look far away to depart from our text and get carried away. For years, I've thought back to how Grandma had listened to all those great things that I said she had been missing. How that night she paused at the foot of my bed and smiled at those milky cows overhead. I sure like to think that one night or the next, she'll get carried away and depart from the text. The end. And for today, hope you enjoyed those. And I'll close the stream. And I just want to say goodbye.